Have you ever worked towards a goal, you visualized it, planned it, stayed positive, yet you still feel stuck? Have you started the new year with putting so much pressure on yourself to complete everything and succeed and make all these huge goals? Well, today we're talking about why belief comes before those results and how working backwards from your goal can change everything for you. So by the end of this episode, you're going to understand why believing you're a winner changes what's possible, why effort alone doesn't create results, how identity shapes outcome, not the other way around, and how working backwards helps success feel natural instead of forced. Carolyn Wilman is back. Many know her as the contest queen. She has helped people win millions in cash and prizes, build multiple successful businesses, and now publishes powerful mindset and metaphysical works through Words for Winning. And she's here to talk about going backwards. It's so good to have you here. Carolyn, before we dive into goals and winnings, can you share what first taught you that belief comes before results and how learning to trust your inner voice has shaped your success?
Well, I have to give the credit to my dad because when I was 18, he handed me a motivational book. And
Mm.
I wish I could remember the name of it, but he said to me, if I can teach you at 18 what I learned at 36, you'll be way ahead. And I have devoured those types of works for over 40 years. And now I get to update and republish ones that had gone out of print and share that knowledge with others. And you really have to believe it before you see it. Because if you don't have that belief in yourself, it's never going to show up, whatever goal that is, or dream, or idea.
Right. So it's more about alignment and listening to yourself. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's actually the number one thing I tell people if they always say, you get a lot of people saying, if you could give someone one piece of advice, what would it be?
Mm.
And my answer to that question is always listen to your inner voice because so many times I have had intuition. Some people call them downloads or hits or guidance. There's lots of different words for the same thing. And it's that inner voice. And even when it seems illogical, it's always right because so many times I've had that inner knowing and my logical brain took over and I said, no, that makes no sense. And I went this way. And what do you know? It was right. So now if I get that intuitive hit, even when it seems illogical, I have to stop my, logical brain from taking over. I have to sit down and say, no, you know that this is the right direction to go. And I learned to follow that. But if I could teach 25-year-old me to know that. So I hope that when I teach now, the younger generation is picking up on these things and are going to be way ahead of us.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes. You get those intuitive messages, and then your logical mind says, but we don't know what's going to really happen if you take that route. And you like fear steps in, and we talk ourselves out of it. And then years go by, and we're in the same pattern. And all of a sudden, like the universe makes us take that path finally. And then we have that moment of, are you kidding me right now? Like, are you kidding me?
Well, what's funny is I did a video on that, a little short, and you know what I said? I said, you don't know what's going to happen. Like people worry, they're like, well, what if this happens? You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen, period. You don't know what's going to happen good. You don't know what's going to happen bad. We don't know what's going to happen. Like I could get off this video and I could get a phone call that I won a big prize, right? Or I
Yeah.
could get a phone call or I could get an email that I just signed a new book deal, or I could get like anything can happen. So if you're gonna worry is like praying for the worst case scenario,
Yeah.
right? So if you're gonna swirl around in your brain of all these things that could happen, instead of doing it in panic mode, Oh my gosh, my car might not start. There might be a snowstorm. What if he doesn't phone me back? What if this business deal doesn't go through? What, you can do all these things. Well, how about what if he's the one? What if I just get the biggest deal of my life? What if I win a trip to South, sunny South? Like if you're gonna worry, ruminate on all the good things that can happen instead of all the bad.
I
What
love
if,
that. That's the
right?
best. Yeah. What if I become a millionaire and life is amazing all the time? That's the thing
Right?
though, like
Like,
so many people, oh, they have this burning desire for success and abundance or fulfillment, happiness, love, finding their partner. But why do people struggle so much to receive it? Like it sometimes it's right there, yet people won't allow themselves to receive it. Why is that?
well, I think part of it is they might have a fear of being worthy of such grandeur. We all are. And it's, too good to be true. Yeah, it is good. This world is so full of magic and beauty. It's amazing. And we just need to tap more into that. Like, I love the warm weather, and I'm so happy in the summer in the morning when I can just take the coffee or tea or whatever and go sit in the backyard and just be in the sun and breathe. That's so beautiful. I hear the birds. We got squirrels running around. We have bunnies that live under our shed,
Yeah.
right? Like
I know
that's
I
beautiful.
miss the summer so much. Oh my gosh.
I
That's
know. I'm a warm weather person too.
me
I
too.
had one of my goals, since we're talking about goals, and sometimes they don't gel right away, was to live somewhere south for 3 months every winter, so I do not have to experience the cold. And so I digitized myself. So I have a travel laptop. I got another camera. I got a portable monitor. I replicated my system here in my office in a portable version so that I could just go live somewhere else for a while. Unfortunately,
Nice.
that didn't gel for this winter, but it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And we'll see what happens for winter 2027 because I want to go away January, February, March. I
Yeah.
do like the snow for Christmas because that feels like it's supposed to be that way. And then
Yeah,
I
we're
can
built.
just go away for a while.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Something that I think you've said is before you can win, you must believe you're a winner. Why is that identity so important?
Because there's you won't put in the effort. It all ties together. It's like trying to push a string versus pull a string, right? One is easier, one is in flow, one has success. There's so much It's so much easier to get the string where you want it to go if you're pulling it versus pushing it. And if you believe that you can win or you believe you can succeed, you will. Now, it might not be when you want it to happen. That one I always struggle with. Sometimes there's divine timing, but it always turns out for the best because I always like to say, I learned this from Colette Baron Reed, but I think Jack Canfield taught it too. It's probably many others, but I always think when I'm doing something, it's for the highest good of all. And so sometimes the timing might be a little bit delayed, but I also had to look at what I do and my inner voice. And one of the things I've wanted to do is grow my businesses and get to a new level. But the one thing that was holding me back was my accounting.
Mm.
And I remember being in college and I took accounting. I got a D. It was one of the mandatory courses because the program that I took, the first semester, everybody took the same 5 courses. And then you branched off into your elective, I guess you want to, I can't remember the word for it, but I took business administration with a marketing major. But everyone had to take English, accounting. There was a like a production course. There was something else. I can't remember all of them. It's been a minute since I took those. But I remember two things happened. One, I got a D in accounting. It was not my favorite thing. I never liked it. I never understood it because it's opposites, right? For the pluses and the minuses. And then also in that English course, coincidentally, I got a C on a paper. And I remember looking at that and thinking, it doesn't matter. I won't write. I won't be a writer.
Mhm.
Yeah, the universe had a last laugh. I now own a publishing company
Right.
and I'm working on my own fourth book. And along with purchasing out of print books and updating them and introducing them to new audiences using modern publishing methods. So the universe did have the last laugh on me there. But in my business, I was using words like, when I was doing my expense reports, this is the bane of my existence. I really hate doing this. I don't like it. I put it off as long as I could. Now, think about it. If money was a person and you talk to it that way, would it want to hang around you?
No, want to run.
It would want to run, and or it would just become difficult around you. It'd be like,
Mhm.
I'm not talking to you today. I'll stay here, but I'm not hanging around you. And so I took a good look and I did something I hadn't done. Sometimes people feel pressure in January, or actually, I guess at the end of December, to set resolutions and goals for the new year. Sometimes it's actually better to do them earlier to make the year ahead. So in October, I thought, what do I want 2026 to be like? And I decided I was going to finish all these projects and all these straggly things that had been sitting on my desk, including getting my accounting done. I used to literally throw my receipts and statements into a liquor box and then sort it out sometime in the next year, usually after the tax deadline, by the way. And the accountant used to give me heck for that. He goes, you can't keep filing late. And because I would put it off. And so I thought, well, I need to flip this because if I'm going to have a business that's much bigger, I can't be, and I'm going to have, well, I don't think it'll actually be 10 times the paperwork, but let's assume it's 10 times the paperwork. I can't do it this way. This isn't going to work. And as it was, it took me a full week to organize it all. Well, then I realized that was a huge mistake because that took away writing time, marketing time, publishing time, like all things that are income generating, wasted on sorting things out that had I taken 2 seconds to put it in the proper folder, it would already be done. And I
Right.
wouldn't struggle with this receipt that says 0304. Is that March 4th or April 3rd?
Yeah, and they also like lose their like they almost what's the word I'm looking for? Like the ink disappears when they've been sitting there for a
Yes,
while. So you're like looking at it like, what is this? And can I actually read this? Oh
I
my
have a
gosh.
loop. I have a loop. I used to sell, right, when I was about, I don't know, 25 years ago, I used to sell toner and to companies that had HP printers. And HP gave us this loop and I still have it and I use it for my accounting. So if I can't read something, I put the loop on and I try to look at the numbers. But yes, so I decided that's no more. And so when I was finishing up 2025, as I was going through the folders and making sure everything was in there, like, because I'm wrapping it up, because you don't get the December statements like from the bank until January. So this month I was sitting there printing everything off. And as I was going through every file to make sure all the statements were there, I then started replicating them for 2026 because, of course, I'm going to have another bank folder. Of course, I'm going to have another folder for my cell phone and my car expenses and any services that I use, like web hosting. And so I thought, well, I'll just make the folders now. If I have to add folders, I will. But the main ones that I know that I use year in and year out, they're already in a box for 2026. And some of them already have things in them because I put them in there right away. And I thought, okay, this is going to be much better.
Yeah, I love that. So you teach this idea of working backwards from the outcome. Why does starting with the end result change how the goals unfold?
Well, because you have to look at what it is. So depending on the goal, you may need other things. So if you look at the end result and you go, okay, I want to run a marathon. Some people, say, okay, in 2026, I'm going to run a marathon. I do not have the athlete archetype. That would not be one of my goals. But if you decided that I'm going to run a marathon, okay, so what do I need to do? Well, the end result is running 26 miles or 5K or 10K or whatever the the race is. Okay, so if I needed to run that by this date, say it was in November, how many miles do I have to start running now to build myself up to there? So you back it up and then you go, okay, well, do I have all the tools I need? No, I have old crappy running shoes. Maybe I better go to the sports store and get a new pair of running shoes. So I make sure that I have the right equipment. Maybe there's a running club. Maybe I can look around for a running club so I have buddies and that they could give me some advice. So then you look for those tools. So if your goal is to write a book, I get that all the time. Of course, everyone says, "Oh, I want to write a book." And the best advice I got was write out the table of contents and start writing. Now, if it's nonfiction, this is something people don't realize. You do not have to write the book in order. I had
Mm,
someone say to me they were struggling because they couldn't get the intro chapter. Like, okay, so go on to what is easy to write. By the time you write all the easiest chapters, you probably have half the book done. Well, now you're not going to stop. It's half done.
right.
And then you can the beauty of what we do now with technology is you can move stuff around. You write it out and you're like, that chapter really needs to be there. It doesn't, the order doesn't flow right because your initial idea was, oh, it should go like this. And then you realize, oh, step 5 and step 6 should actually be flipped. Well, guess what? You can go in and cut it and paste it.
Yeah,
Literally cut it and
exactly.
paste it in the new spot. We are so blessed with this technology to rearrange things, to fix things, to set things up that people didn't in the past didn't have. Helene Hadsel, God bless her, she was in her 80s and she was still writing, but she had no tech, she wasn't techie, and she was still editing in like 2010. So yeah, I'll give her a little slack because Word, I think she was actually originally writing in Word Perfect for the all those of us old enough to remember Word
Wow.
Perfect and DOS. But she would want to add something to the book, but she didn't know how. So she would edit and put things in using the space bar and the return key.
Oh
So
my
when I
God.
got a hold of it, I'm like, oh, yeah, that needs to be here. This needs to be there. That shouldn't have the gap. This I was doing a lot of fixing. It's much smoother now.
Wow.
But,
Yeah, it's funny.
she
Like the
did.
logical brain wants everything to be like step by step by step by step by step, but we got to throw that away. And like we don't need this expectation hanging over our own heads that we create for ourselves that it all has to make sense in the moment. Like it doesn't. Everything falls into place in the end, but at first it feels out of whack. People like predictability. People want to see
Yes.
the outcomes, and it's like to be able to let go of that is, I think, key in order to be successful at these things.
Yes, I like, that's one of the reasons I do think I do like the unpredictability of my day. And I think I've always been like that, which is one of the reasons I think I like to enter sweepstakes as a hobby because I don't know what I'm going to win. And I love the
Right.
unpredictability of that. And I find that that is something that it occurred to me this year when I was looking back that I think I have the treasure hunter archetype because that unpredictability, that chase, flows through so many things. If you put me on a beach, I can spend hours looking for seashells.
Right.
right? Because I don't know what I'm going to find. When I enter sweepstakes, I love entering because I don't know what I'm going to win,
That's awesome.
right? Um, and I like one of the things I actually do to help me win sweepstakes is I do something called pin code hunting because some companies will put codes in product in the spring and summer. It tends to be a seasonal thing. I don't know why. In the spring and summer to encourage sales. And then people take those codes and enter them to win a prize. And I do tell people support the sponsor, but it's not that healthy to drink that much beer or soda or eat that many chocolate bars. So I will go around. I live in an area where we're blessed to have little blue boxes with open lids, and just people throw their recycling in there. And I'll walk around the neighborhood and I'll look to see who's thrown out coded product, and I'll take those codes and enter and win. I had a really good summer. Now, I did not win the Pepsi 10,000, and I did not win one of the ATVs from Laker. Like, I'm like, hey, I entered a lot of codes. How did I not win? How did I not win the big prize, the grand prize? I won a lot of instant prizes, small prizes. I didn't win a grand prize, but that's the chase because you don't know. I could have. Yeah, I don't know. It's so I love doing all that kind of things, and it's the same in my business. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know who's going to, call an option Helene's story to make a movie. I don't know who's going to buy her next book. I don't know who's going to be um my next goal. It's exciting. And I remember when I first had my daughter, she's 23 now, but when she was a baby, everyone says, "Oh, you have to have a baby on a schedule." And I thought, I can't do that. I'm not on a schedule.
Right.
How am I
Yeah.
gonna how am I gonna put a baby on a schedule when mom isn't on a schedule? Because every day you don't know what's gonna happen. But but you can still have the predictability of the goals. So we do need some predictability. And we do have to have some assumptions that this thing's going to unfold. And so you got to chunk it down. Like, first of all, if you set a goal, you have a whole year, you have all of 2026. You don't have to do it today,
Wow.
right? Like, relax, relax. You have a
Yeah,
whole
January,
year.
there's so much pressure. It's like, oh, what are you going to do this year? What are your goals? And literally, like, my brain is screaming, like, F off. Like, I don't even know what I'm having for dinner. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, I hate that feeling that it gives me. And I think there's more to the feeling that it gives me that I'm running from or that I'm afraid of. Like, when someone starts to ask me, what is it? Like, why am I reacting in such a way? Right? Like, it's like society putting all this pressure that I've got to be somewhere at a certain age. And oh my God, I'm in my 40s now. So this is what success is supposed to look like. You're not married. Oh my God, here's a dating app. Like, you haven't had kids yet. Do you know that your ovaries are going to shut down and like your vagina is going to dry up? And I'm like, oh my God, like, shut up. Like it's too much.
It's funny because I remember being 27 and crying because I wasn't where I thought I'd be in life. And
Yeah.
what's funny is I feel now, I just turned 59. I feel like I'm even from last few years, I finally feel like I'm where I want, like where I wanted to be 30 years ago is where I'm finally at.
Right.
Like it took me 30 years to get to that place where I have the self-confidence. I'm not afraid of things. Like we were talking off air. I just redid my own website. I I do have a webmaster to make it pretty because I don't have any graphic skills, but I was waiting for him to do the layout. Like I had mapped it out on flowcharts of how things should flow based on how I knew people used my site because it needed to be updated desperately because I'm very proud to say we hit the 20th anniversary of Contest Queen and she needed a facelift and a makeover. And I was waiting for him. He had it for ages. He had the map and he didn't do it. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm not going to break the site. And so I just started moving stuff around and doing the redirects and doing it all. And it took me a week. So then I thought, oh, maybe it's a good thing I didn't let him do it because he would have cost me a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I did it myself. And I put placeholder graphics. So it's not great, but it's functional. And so people can still use it. And now he can just go in and give her the do the makeup now on the and do her hair and new logo, new colors. It's going to be fun. But the base is done. The functionality part is done. And we're just fixing any little broken links that we find. I have been telling people, if you find a 404, please let me know. I might have missed something, but that's okay. I used to be really afraid of things like that. Like, oh my gosh, what if somebody it's broken or they don't get the right page or I didn't or there's a spelling error. And now I'm like, you know what? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's not that big a deal. Nobody's going to notice. Nobody's going to notice. It's I was so worried for so many years of what do other people think? And now I'm like, I don't care what they think. I'm here. I feel my purpose is to help people have more fun in life. And I'm doing that by teaching them how to win sweepstakes, by publishing books that help them have a more positive mindset. And that's what I feel my purpose is here on earth. And I'm a big believer in all boats rise with the tide. So I'm off having a good time. Do you want to come with?
Yeah. I
Yes,
love
let's
that.
go. Right? There's
Yeah.
enough prizes for everybody. There's enough magic in the world for everybody. My dad always said, it's a great quote. I don't know if it was his or he reused it. Um, God has enough food out there for all the birds. They just have to go get it.
Mm. Yeah, it's true.
So there's enough for everyone. There's enough oxygen for all of us. Like, because I'm breathing, I'm not taking away. I'm not taking away what you're breathing. There's enough for all of us,
Yeah, it's funny
right?
how we have that limiting belief that if someone is in the same space that we're working in, like, for example, if someone is doing the exact same thing that you were doing, they have a publishing company, like we have this limiting belief that if they're doing better or what appears to be better, that there's not enough space for both of you to do equally as good. It's like we make these like weird ideas in our minds that make us believe that we can never be that well. Where do you think this feeling of unworthiness comes from?
Um, I I think it's kind of the maybe now it's maybe the media and people always put their best face forward and they
Yeah.
never show you the raggedy Ann version of you, you know. Um, I follow one creator and she teaches people how to use Instagram. And she said the first time a video popped off for her was the morning she didn't care. And her hair, she hadn't washed her hair. She had a t-shirt that had a stain on it. She sat with her coffee and she just talked about how she could help you. And she was so real. People were like amazed and they started following her because she's real. She just is like, hey, this is who I am. I live up north. I do this, I do that. Sometimes there's her dog's there. Sometimes um, she's been working in the garden and she's all messy and people love it because she's real. And I think, oh, we just need to all believe it's real. Like, what we see on television isn't real. I actually did a pilot for TLC back in the day. And they always said everything was reality television, but it's not actually reality TV. It's unscripted television.
Right.
So they would say, okay, can you stand over there and talk about this? They were getting very frustrated with me because they thought it was based on, remember when extreme couponing was really popular?
Yes.
So they would follow the extreme couponers. And you can't control luck the way you can control couponing. So they said to me, so what grand prizes are you expecting to win in the next 2 weeks? And I'm like, all of them. But like, I don't know if any of them will actually show up. Like,
Right. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can't make it happen. And then what happened at one point, I had some codes to do some instant wins on the website, and my office was so small, and we had this guy, and he had the high definition camera, so like the lens is this wide, and he's over my shoulder, and he's in the corner, and I had my daughter on my lap, and we're trying, and I couldn't get it to work. I don't know what was happening. I don't know if it was my browser or whatever. And so they went off to film something else after like 20 minutes. And they said, okay, well, we'll call you in a minute. So I sat there trying to figure it out. Of course, it worked the minute the camera was away from me. And I instantly won a prize. And I'm like, of
Wow.
course I did. The cameras weren't here to film it. It was not captured. And I thought, yeah, that's the way life goes, right? The minute it's being watched, no, it won't happen. That's like that old
The minute
joke with the
you're
dog.
trying to make it happen, the minute that we try or desire something or we long for something, we're actually pushing it away. Right. So it's like in that moment, the camera goes away and you're like, whatever, I'm just going to do my thing. And it works. That's how I believe it works anyway. It's like
Yeah, that's
anytime
like
we're
that old dog.
trying to force something to happen, you can't force things.
That's that old joke with the dog. He takes him to a talent agent and says, "My dog can talk." He said, "What's on a house? Roof. You know, uh, is it smooth or roof?" And he did that, and
Right.
the guy's like, "Get out of here. Your dog can't talk." And so he gets out in the hall and he says to the dog, "What was that?" And he says, "Well, you should have asked me better questions." No, the dog talked like it's that old joke with it always happens when there's nobody looking or um it's at any time. But that kind of leads to the point of taking inspired action.
Mm,
I saw a woman talking about she explained it better than I could. I always tell people take inspired action. When you have a feeling that you should do something, go do it. And she said writing a thank you note changed her life. And what happened was she was attempting to get an internship, and she was like one of 600 candidates, and she wasn't accepted. She got the eliminate. They got down to their top, I don't know what, 25 people for the second round of interviews, and she got the elimination letter. And she just said there was something here inside her stomach, swirling inside her stomach, that said, write a thank you note. And she did. She sat down and wrote it heartfelt, like, thank you very much. You guys are creating magic. If you do this next year, I'd love to be a part of it. She wrote this heartfelt thank you note and sent it off. And then she got an email back the next day and said, hey, several of the people that we had selected for finalists never responded. And we love your attitude and energy, and you were close to the cutoff. Would you like to apply? So she absolutely did. And then she was not selected as the winner because she was the second round. But they loved her so much. They said, listen, we were going to do this again next year, but why don't we just give it to you for next year and we won't even do the contest, the internship um, awards. And she said, okay. And so the next year she did that. Now, here's where inspired action can take you on paths you don't expect. So the next year she goes on the internship, and it was with a travel agency. So they were taking her to all these places. And she got to Glastonbury, England, and it was like magic for her. She saw the environment, the city, the sounds, the smells, everything. And she was moved. And she came home, and it took her 13 years. I felt bad because my books take, a while. This one I put on the shelf for 5 years. That's why this year it's my number one goal is to finish it. And she finished her novel. Now, novels are different than nonfiction books because you have to have an arc, you have to have characters building up, you have to have dialogue, you have to have imagery. That's not my skill set. That's a whole nother ball of wax. but she did it. So following her intuition led to her writing a novel that who knows might become a New York Times bestseller.
Mm.
So
I love that.
we have to follow that. And again, this goes back to what we started at our conversation. We don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I was just going to ask you for a listener out there who wants to start winning in their life, and in their goals, what are some simple places that they can begin to start doing that?
Well, first, don't be so hard on yourself. And believe that it can happen. Like okay, so if I'm a sweepstaker, I enter probably about 100 giveaways a day. And it only takes about an hour and a half. It's not an all day thing. Most of the time, I sit in the living room in the evening watching TV with my sweetheart, and I have my laptop in front of me and I'm clicking away, entering these giveaways. So it's not even cutting into any work activities, nothing. But I don't win 100 things every day. I won 100 prizes last year because I do keep a spreadsheet. I track my wins. Um, and I won 100 prizes all year. So I win a fair bit, but I don't win everything. And so you have to expect that your efforts, it's not always going to hit, it's not always going to strike, it's not always going to be the one. But unless you try, you don't know. Right?
Mm.
How many career things did I try when I was younger? Oh my gosh. I tried being a pastry chef. Yeah, that didn't work out very well. That lasted 30 days. I quit. That wasn't for me. I did retail while I was in college for 4 years. That was good at the time to get me through school because the scheduling was flexible, but that's not where I was going to end up. But I learned a lot. So you have to just kind of go with the flow and see, you know, what what makes you shine. And it doesn't always have to be your career. You can just go, and some people have what they might call the Best Buy life, where they go and they work at Best Buy and they do their thing and they get their paycheck, but then they come home and they paint because that's their
Right.
passion. You don't have to earn your living uh, winning, so to speak. Because believe me, I can't earn my living winning sweepstakes. I have tried. And then on top of that, prizes cost you money. Some
Mm.
prizes cost you money. Like we win tickets to go see a show. Well, there's gas, there's parking. We probably go out to dinner before. And when my daughter was little, there was always a babysitter.
Right.
So it was a cheap night out, not a free night out. If you win a trip, you probably want to buy souvenirs. You need to get yourself to the airport. Um, you got to tip people. Not everything's included. So it's a cheap trip, not a free trip. So I just remind people of that when they're doing it. But the other thing people need to have is no doubt that it'll happen in the best way possible.
Mm. So, what are some mistakes that people make when they start setting goals that actually work against them?
I think they, well, I know I do this. I bite off more than I can chew more often than not. Like, oh, I can get this done in a week. Really? That's a whole month job. Did you really think you could do that in a week? Well,
Right.
yeah, maybe if I didn't sleep, because I get overly ambitious and I want to get to the end result because I think it's gonna, I get this done and get that done. And patience, right? Patience. We need to have a bit of patience and pace yourself. Like I said, you have a whole year, and you can just, do as much as you can in each day, and you will get there. I always equate it to January at the gym, right? Everybody says, "Oh, I'm gonna lose that 20 pounds and I'm gonna be buff." And they go and they're on the treadmill for like one day. It's consistency over time equals results. So if you're entering sweepstakes, if you consistently enter sweepstakes over time, you will win. everybody that I know that has taken the hobby seriously wins prizes.
Yeah.
You can win instantly. That has happened. You can win big the first time. I've interviewed people that have won a car. That's the first prize they ever won. I'm still waiting for my car win. Like, hello. The 20th anniversary. I've been entering sweepstakes for 25 years. I have yet to win a car. It'll happen. I know someone that waited 40 years before she won her first car. But then I know people that won it on the first, that's the first prize they ever won was a car. What? That's not fair.
Right. Yeah, I think
So,
what you said though is right, like consistency. I go to a yoga studio and the first week of January it was packed. Couldn't find parking. The studio is packed. I'm literally like stretching and my arm is on the next person's stomach, kind of thing. Yesterday I was there and it was like a ghost town. And it was back to the way it was before the new year. And so people, yeah, they have like this drive. It's like, oh, I'm going to do it. And then they do it for like 3 days and they throw it out the window. And then they think, why am I not succeeding? Consistency is everything.
oh
I
my
kind of
gosh.
feel those people who win the car, though, like right off the bat, like that sets a precedent. That'd be tough to come back from. Be
Well, I
like,
mean,
now
there
I
are
want a car
people.
every single time.
Yeah, that's, but it's still fine. But you can
Yeah.
win instantly. But the rule of thumb, especially when it was all mail-in back in the day, like when Helene Hadsel was entering sweepstakes in the 60s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, the rule of thumb was it was 3 to 6 months before you started seeing prizes. Because the things that you're entering today, like if you look at when they end, by the time the judging agency makes the drawing and gets you the notification, now it's faster because they'll email you, not mail you something, or call you. So it's rare they call, but they can sometimes call. It's why I answer every call, even if it says unknown number, spam, everything. I've had actual uh, winning notifications that were listed as likely spam on my phone. And I actually talked to one promotions director at a radio station. I said, "Are you having a hard time reaching other winners?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, because I'm also a marketer. And I mentioned it to him. He said, "Yeah, we're fighting with the phone company to get that fixed." So,
Yeah.
so I answer every call because you never know what you're going to
Yeah.
win.
Mm.
And
That,
it's but you have to stay consistent over time. And it's like you said, the yoga studio. Well, did they think they were going to start on January 1st and then be able to do a handstand? I mean, yoga takes a lot of strength. I've been doing it for years and in and out. And yeah, it takes a lot of strength. There's poses I can't do now that I could do 20 years ago. I was doing them 20 years ago, but I can't do them now. My body's changed. But does that stop me from getting on my mat? No. And I think that's one of the other things. People expect things to stay the same or they should always be getting better, but things change and they don't flow with the change. And I'm like, okay, I can't do that pose anymore. Okay, what can I do? I still enjoy getting on the mat. I still enjoy the stretching. Some of them I can still do as well as I always did. But some are like, my body's like, I
yeah.
don't think we want to do at 59 what you did at 39. It's not happening.
Yeah. The flowy. It's so important to be flowy. So tell us more about what you do and where people can find you, your books, everything.
Well, if you want to learn how to win sweepstakes, head over to contestqueen.com. She looks a little wonky right now, but she's getting a makeover. And you can hit 5 steps to begin winning right on the homepage where it should be. And I'm very excited for that journey in 2026 to see how she's going to turn out. And I've made it easier for people to learn how to win. And I'm always doing fun things with that hobby. I call it, I wear different crowns, I say, right? So that's my contest queen crown where I teach people. That's my favorite. Then also for Words for Winning is where I have all my books. And here's something interesting. When I was registering my marketing business, which is Idea Majesty, and I knew I'm standing in the office where you do the government office where you do the business registrations. You could do them online now, but at the time you had to go into the office. And I stood there, and as I was filling out the paperwork, I thought, oh, there's a third business. And I went, oh no.
Yeah.
See, it was an intuitive hit, and I also put her off as long as possible. When I bought the rights to so many books, I knew I needed a author site and publishing site. I broke down, and 2 years ago, I launched Words for Winning. So you'll find my books, Helene's books, Tag Powell's books, and Judith Powell's books. They're not all there yet because I have like 10 more to write. I have 4 translations. I have another Audible. I have a lot of goals this year. I want to publish my own book. I want to publish 4 translations for Helene Hatzel. I want to publish 2 Audibles. We'll see.
Mm. Well, it's been so much fun talking to you. I bet you can do it. I bet you can do it. Thank you so much for being here. Do you have any last minute thoughts you want to leave the audience with?
Yeah, I want people to not be so hard on themselves. That life is a journey, go with the flow, follow those intuitive hits, and don't worry. So don't worry, be happy, like the song, because we don't know what's going to happen, and always assume the best. And if you do that, every day is a gift, and you can find magic in every day. And I think if people are less hard on themselves and aren't waiting for some future event that may or may not happen because you get taken down a different magical path, then what was all that worry for and all that stress for? It wasn't even required.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. And like I said, one of my favorite sayings is all boats rise with the tide. So I'm hoping that everybody who sees this, we're all elevating each other up.
I love that. So if you're out there and you're listening and you feel stuck, this episode is your reminder that winning starts from the inside. So it's not about beating someone else, it's about becoming more of who you already are. So do you believe you're a winner, or are you still waiting for the proof? Drop it in the comments. We read them, we promise. And if this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who is ready to win. Until next time, we look forward to having Carolyn back, and we wish you all a wonderful day. Go win big, guys. Bye.